Welcome back to Collectability. Over the next few minutes, we're going to discuss one of my favorite topics, Patek Philippe annual calendars. And I have a personal story to share during this short journey, and hopefully you could walk away with some information about these incredible watches that truly deserve more attention from collectors. Ultimately, this is a story of how simplicity is brilliance. And the annual calendar is all about simplicity. So let's go back to the 1990s. If it was 1996, 1995, you had few choices to make in the world of Patek Philippe in terms of price points. You can buy a simple Calatrava, time only, for approximately $10,000. Or if you were a big spender and wanted a reference 3940 perpetual calendar, you'd be looking at spending in the low 40s. You'd be $40,000 plus. So what Patek Philippe realized is they needed a watch that could attract a new customer base that wasn't quite a simple Calatrava and wasn't a $40,000 watch. They needed to find something in between. Thus, the concept, the marketing concept of the annual calendar was born. The 5035 was released in 1996 to answer that question. With a retail price of $19,500, the reference 5035 annual calendar was the answer to Patek Philippe's challenge to attract new buyers for complicated pieces. A nice price point, yet still be able to meet the void between a time-only and a perpetual. So what is an annual calendar? An annual calendar simply indicates the day of the week, the month, and the date, and automatically takes into consideration months with 30 or 31 days. So what this means to you is the date only needs to be corrected on March 1st, forward by 3 days in non-leap years, and forward by 2 days in leap years. So it's very practical. You could wear the watch all the time, easily know the date and the time. And that is what the beauty of an annual calendar is. It also offered a platform for Patek Philippe to try some different designs and some different ideas over the years. Because this new caliber that they made, the 324 SQA 24H, as it's officially called, was groundbreaking at the time. And in 1996, it was even known as the Watch of the Year by a famous Swiss magazine. And at a time where horological awards were few, the annual calendar took home a few awards. So now the year is 2021. It's the 25th anniversary, technically, of the annual calendar. And here in front of me, I have a nice selection of annual calendars from the earliest years to something quite recent. So in 1996, when the first annual calendar was released in yellow gold, had the silvered Roman dial, and you'll notice something quite interesting about this, which careful observer will note that there's something different with the Roman numerals on these first 5035s, and you'll notice that the Roman numeral 4, so right here where it says IV, is not what you normally see on any Roman dial. You always see that it has the 4 I's, the I, in the Roman system, and this simply has the IV. I've never received clarification why this is the only watch that has the IV, but start comparing to other Roman numeral watches. You'll notice this might be one of the only ones that has that interesting nuance. So fast forward, the 5035 became quite popular. There was a bracelet version called the 5036. Then there was a platinum version that came out known as the 5056. And soon enough, we had a watch that's near and dear to my heart, the reference 5135 Gondola Calendario. The reason this watch was called the Gondola Calendario was in honor of Chronological Gondola from the early 20th century and some of their beautiful case designs, in particular with wristwatches. This particular 5135G in white gold is very special to me, and a quick story, personal story to tell about this watch. Back in 2013, I very much wanted a 5135. It was my dream watch to have one of these annual calendars. and I just needed to have one. I was so fortunate enough that I was able to buy one, and my name is on the original certificate of origin. I have the original box and papers and push piece, and and seeing my name on this brings back a lot of memories, because I remember the day I received this watch for the first time on April 23rd, 2013. Like with many collectors, and just in life, unfortunately, at some point, I had to sell this watch, and I had to let go of it. And I thought I'd never see this 5135 again, and that was quite sad to me, because I remember thinking, like, this is a watch that I'll give to one of my children someday, and something I wanted to keep in the family. But I had to sell it. Lo and behold, just a few months ago, a friend of mine who's in the business found this watch for sale with my name and address on the certificate of origin, with the movement and case number of the watch that I bought originally. And he said, this watch has actually just come back on the market. Are you interested in buying it? I immediately said yes, and the watch came home. And I can't believe it. After it's been 8 years, it has the exact same strap on the watch as when I gave it up. I remember this strap quite well. So this one's staying with me, and I'm not going to sell it. So that's my annual calendar story. The reason I like this watch so much is the sculptural elements of the case. This is a huge technological achievement to make this 5135 case. And when I was working at Patek Philippe, I saw a watchmaker deconstruct the case into all the individual parts, and it's so much more complex than any other case I've ever seen. And that's one of the reasons I really love this watch, in addition to the two-tone dial. But that watch is not for sale, I emphasize. So let's fast forward. After the 5135, we saw some other annual calendars. We saw our First Lady's annual calendar, the 4936 appear, the diamond version, 4937. And in 2006, we had the release of two watches that we're very familiar with today, and that's the reference 5960 annual calendar chronograph and the 5396, of which we have two examples here. Now, originally when the 5396 was released, we saw this beautiful sector two-tone dial. This remains today one of my favorite dials made by Patek Philippe, because it's a direct, I wouldn't call it copy, it's directly inspired by 1930s dials with this really deco approach and deco layout. And in this particular watch that I have, just came back from service, and I just find these extremely wearable. It has the inline calendar, which is just so beautiful, which is very different than the rotary calendars we saw in the original annuals. One of the most, actually this is the most recent watch I have in the world of collectability. Here is a 5396 with the current dial configuration, but what makes this so special is that special name that you'll see on the subdial above the date, Tiffany & Company. This is a Tiffany & Company retailed watch, and preserved in mint complete condition. This is one of the first Patek Philippe seal watches that I've had, and it's a pleasure to see this this piece in this collection. In conclusion, annual calendars, they're simple, they're beautiful, they're practical, and there's so many different styles to choose from over the years since 1996, when this watch first came out. I find for the price point today, especially with the pre-owned watches, you can get so much for the money in a piece that you could wear. It's practical, and it's also quite complicated. One little secret of the world of Patek Philippe annual calendars is these have more parts than a perpetual calendar. An annual calendar from Patek Philippe has a base 324 parts compared to a perpetual calendar that has only 280 parts. And I think it's quite fun that this simple complication might be simple in its conveying of information, but it's even more complicated in terms of its execution. So I want to thank you all for watching. Welcome to the world of annual calendars if you haven't considered one before. And I wish you all a very pleasant day. And please like and subscribe Collectability. And I look forward to seeing you back again.